All right. Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we are joined by This is Ray. How are you doing today, Ray?
What up, man? Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you on. So, it sounds like Ray got invaded by a bunch of kiddos.
Yeah, yeah.
so,
This is the pivots that you make as a teenage dad life. My daughter came home from volleyball practice with half her volleyball team, so my
yeah.
living room is full of teenage volleyball players. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that I'm ever going to like adjust to that. She just she about 3 weeks ago got her driver's license, and this week on Monday she drove by herself for the first time. She got hired by her church to do childcare for an event, and she drove down the street to the church. So that was kind of fun. That her first event was like to go drive to church to work on a ministry event, and then the we let her drive to and home from school on Monday. So we're like slowly letting her wade into the waters, but like it's so surreal to me, man. I don't understand it. Like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I was just getting my license. So
I mean, hey man, that's I think you're doing it right, bro. I mean, I hope my daughter when she gets her license, the first thing she's doing is a gig at the church. I think that's awesome, bro.
oh man, it's a super proud, but it's super weird.
Yeah, I can imagine. I got a couple daughters. My oldest is 7 and my youngest is 2. And I can't even imagine the teenagers. Hey, actually, it's something I want to pick your brain about.
Let's do it.
Just kind of off topic, but in the vein of parenting, is what do you make of this notion that when kids turn teenagers that they rebel against you?
So we haven't encountered that with my daughter yet. I will say we are constantly aware of and constantly making her aware of her attitude. She can be a little bit attitudey, but definitely not rebellious. Not up into year 16. She's not been rebellious yet. One of the things that we've done, and I want to be very clear, my ministry has never been like parenting advice.
Yeah,
So like I just fail over and over again. So like don't I'm not the parenting expert here. But like we have always saying aloud is not the right way, and even saying expose is not the right way. But we're very guarded about what we've let our children see and
yeah,
hear and experience, specifically without us. Now, I'm going to totally contradict myself and say, um, for whatever reason, like 6 months ago, going into this is my daughter's sophomore year in high school, going into her sophomore year of high school, she was like, "Oh, I'm at my friend's house. They want to watch the Scream movies, which are obviously rated R slasher movies that she's absolutely never seen before." And I went through it and read some reviews, and so like, I am like, we turned it to like a me and her thing where I'm watching Scream with her,
yeah,
and I'll be very clear, this is not like the religious and or like the theologically correct thing to do, but the concept behind what I'm doing with her is like she already sees and hears way worse than that at school every day.
yeah.
And so like I'm going through it with her, and I'm not like, I'm be very clear, like, we don't have like Bible study afterwards where we sit down, we break it down, and we go through the Bible. But what we are doing is like we're understanding what her boundaries are, and we're setting her boundaries up. I had to explain to my not explain to my wife, but like me and my wife had the conversation about 3 weeks ago. I was like, man, she's in 6 more months, if she drives out, she can go see R-rated movies anyway by herself. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to like not wholly restrict everything to give her a reason to want to rebel, but
Yeah.
we're also trying to be guarded about how she experiences what she experiences. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but so far she's got a pretty clean head on her shoulders. She's super active in the church. She loves Jesus a whole lot. She's, you know what I mean? Like we are pretty strict, but we have places where we can be loose, and the places where we end up being a little bit loose are like, okay, what's in this movie? Okay, is there nudity and sex stuff? Absolutely no. We're not watching that. Is it a little bit violent? Is there language? Is the language any worse than what she hears at the lunch table at school? No, she's already being exposed to that. We know that she doesn't talk like that. We're
Yeah.
aware of it. this could be horrible parenting advice, but this is
Hey,
like,
it's real, bro. It's real and it's raw.
but this, yeah,
The reason I bring
yeah,
it up, man, is because like obviously you have a teenage daughter, so probably at some point I've heard wait until she becomes a teenager. It's just like I don't like that at all. It's like
yeah,
no, like my kid
yeah,
is
yeah.
gonna
We
have a good
no, no.
relationship with me.
The only advice, and I really don't believe in giving parenting advice
Yeah.
because every child is so
Yeah.
different. I can share my experiences, but in my experience, the one thing that I would encourage you to do is really hold on to the next at least 3 to 4 years that you have, because they're going to go really quickly. And you are, if she's 7, by 9 you're really going to start seeing changes.
Hmm.
And it's, you're going to have 3 different versions of your daughter in the next 4 years. You know what I mean? You're
Hmm.
going to see, you know, prepubescent, early pubescent, post pubescent, like all those things are going to happen. And you know, for me, I was involved for a lot of years in a very demanding and very stressful and very rigorous, large, internationally known television broadcast ministry that I did all the broadcasts and the social media and all
Oh
the
wow.
production for. I was an executive pastor on the staff there, and traveled 20 out of 30 days a month with the main pastor there, and did b-roll and photography, and ran his travel schedule and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like from 7 years old to 12 years old was completely deleted. I missed all of
Oh
it. And
man.
so, and I missed all of it in the name of ministry.
Hmm.
And where I feel super blessed as a parent is I do not feel like, um, I don't feel like I lost my daughter. I lost those years, but where it would have been very easy for both my kids to be like, church is what took dad away from us. That did not happen, thank the Lord. So,
Good.
yeah, so it's, enjoy it while you have it, because these years, they are precious, and they are fleeting. And, it just, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, man. I will definitely take your word for it, man. I see her growing up real quick, both of them, and I'm just like, man, I
Yeah.
gotta hold on as long as I can. So, backing up real quick, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you were in ministry, and you just
Yeah.
touched on that a little bit. So, how'd you get to where you are today?
Man, so I grew up in like fourth or fifth generation Church of God family, um, like deacons and board members and associate pastors and nursery workers and Sunday school teachers. My grandmother was my first Sunday school teacher, and um, when I got to be, I think I was 12 years old, my dad planted a church. He was a youth pastor and associate pastor. Ended up becoming a senior pastor, and through my teenage years, we planted a church. And at the summer that I was 13 years old, just we had a really incredible experience with God, and some would call it a move of God in my youth ministry. And we had like a youth revival. We ended up having like 3 weeks of services every single night, and
No, that's
students
incredible.
just really seeking God, and really felt the call of God to go into ministry in my life. And even to the point, like in high school, and like I was I'm a large mammal. People in Rumble don't always understand. Like I'm 6'6", like 285. Like I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. Pudge a couple of weeks ago was in my chat, and I was supposed to be a DreamHack before my flights got canceled, and he had said something about towering over me at DreamHack, because I guess Pudge is also pretty tall. And I just responded, I was like, I bet not. I literally guarantee you that you won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was a pretty good football player through high school. Top 50 ranked players in the state of Maryland when I
Oh,
graduated.
right on, man.
And had some opportunities to go to college and play football, and did not do that because I went to Bible college. And so I actually had a couple of scouts for the Washington Redskins that were involved in my local high school football team that were like very frustrated with me because I didn't even attend any combines and I was getting scholarship offers.
Wow.
And one of the Redskins scouts was like, dude, just take a year off. Let's train for a combine. Let's get you some Division I offers, and like you'll be a rich man for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, man, I appreciate it, but like I know what I'm doing. I know I'm going into ministry. and ended up going to seminary and Bible college and doing all those things. And graduated and came home to help my dad's church. My dad's church is who sent me to Bible college. I had some scholarships because of the church involvement, and came home and was the youth pastor and the associate pastor and the creative guy and did all the things, and ended up being the worship leader there for a while and the band director, and um, just did it. And um, for several different reasons, like it just working with my family just wasn't totally the thing. It didn't totally work out. It was kind of difficult.
Yeah,
There's some
I can imagine, man. Just a little bit of my background. I was a youth pastor for a fairly large church in New York for a couple years, and I planted my own church in New York for a little bit. And yeah, I definitely get it. I get it. Hello, right? I think I lost him. I don't know if you muted or something, man, but I cannot hear you. Hello. Hmm. I lost him, guys. Let's see what's going on. Oh, wait. I think I can hear something in the background. Right?
Do you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I don't know what happened.
My Rumble Studio locked up over here, like everything locked, and then it came unlocked. But you should have me now.
Okay. Cool.
Great. So like I was saying, like you just it's for different reasons. I was young. I was young. I just got married, young kids, and we were trying to figure the whole thing out. And um, the church wasn't really kind of going the way that my family wanted or we wanted or any of the things. And so I was doing church, but I was working full time away from church. I'm trying to do church full time. I'm trying to work full time. I'm trying to like keep the lights on and do all the things. But as a creative person, I really didn't have a whole lot of an outlet for creative outlet.
Yeah.
And so I started doing like really like football graphics on like a Washington Redskins forum. I'm from Maryland originally, and people always think that the Redskins are in like Seattle or something, but it's Washington D.C.
Okay.
And so I was about 2 hours from their facility, and I ended up podcasting and starting a website, and then it exploded. Within 60 days of the site being live, we were getting 65 to 70,000 unique visits a day.
Wow.
And so I started recruiting people to work on the site, and all of a sudden, I'm writing for Redskins.com. I'm doing radio for the Redskins. I'm driving to the stadium, and I have stadium credentials. I'm driving to the facility, and I'm doing on camera TV from the facility. And I'm on ESPN talking football. I'm doing all this stuff, and like it became this creative outlet that I was doing, um, and still doing church, and still leading worship, and still pastoring, and still doing all the things.
Man,
Um,
you were like a busy guy.
yeah, I'm always a busy guy. I'm either a hundred miles an hour or nothing. Like there's no in between for me. And so I'm doing all this stuff, and in the midst of that, I ended up losing my job. I lost my job right as my second child was getting ready to be born. Like 2 months before Landon was born, I got laid off,
Oh, no,
and
which is this? Which job?
it was just I had a job working at a transportation company doing sales,
Okay.
and I hated it. I
Okay.
hated every minute of it. It was an hour and a half away from home because where I lived in Maryland, there's not a whole lot of job opportunities. And so I'm driving 3 hours round trip a day. I'm working 50 hours a week. I'm also doing church in my downtime. And then now I'm also doing like this Redskins media stuff because I just need a creative outlet. And so we're doing all this stuff. And it was like that, like just working at the church for like $50 a week, and then making whatever money I could make on this website. We did end up getting some sponsors, and I think I was bringing in like $1,000 a month. And seeking God, had an offer to work for the Redskins full time. We were considering moving from the Eastern Shore of Maryland into the Virginia area, which is where the Redskins home offices are, and we're praying about that. And then in the middle of all that, we got randomly a phone call from a church down in South Florida that was like, hey, we're looking for a youth pastor.
Oh,
And we ended up walking away from all of the football stuff, all of it. Moved to South Florida, jumped into ministry full time, and have not looked back.
that's incredible, man. I gotta say, I don't think a lot of people would do that, man. 2 times you had the opportunity to, choose, something that probably would have garnered you a lot more money and
Yeah, for sure.
maybe prestige, and
Yeah.
you chose to walk away from it in pursuit of the Lord. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, the thing for me, and like we never understood when we were building the Redskins website. Me and the guy, I had three guys that were on my team, and we were kind of doing it together. And they would say to me once a week, they'd be like, "Man, Ray, like we don't understand. Like there are people that go to school for this, and they intern, and they do everything they can, and like you just walked in and got credentialed, and it's like all of the lights on a Sunday morning are green, and you're just driving down the street with no red lights."
Hmm.
And I never understood why. I never understood why it was so easy for me to be standing, frankly, with idols of
Hmm.
mine. Like I'm such a football nerd. I mean, such a football nerd, and so like I'm like interviewing Mike Shanahan, and I'm at the draft, like talking with RG3 30 seconds after he's drafted, and I'm like talking to Pierre Garcon, and I'm going and doing alumni events, and I have Mark Rippon's phone number and Doug White, Super Bowl MVP. Like all this stuff is just like this is what's normal to me. And in the middle of that, I'd actually been at the NFL draft in 2013. I think it was a 2013 draft. I'd been working at the Redskins facility all weekend,
Hmm.
and I was supposed to do an interview for a magazine that we were publishing with Alfred Morris, who at the time was like ripping the NFL apart with RG3. RG3 and Alfred Morris like was this 1-2 punch that was in the first season like unstoppable.
Hmm.
And Alfred is from South Florida. He actually went to football or went to college at FAU, played college football at FAU, which is like 20 minutes from where I live now. And so I had seen Alfred at the park during the draft and had talked to him about doing an interview when I got home. And the night I got home, I got a phone call from a West Palm Beach phone number. And I thought it was Alfred Morris. I thought we were going to like talk to him. And it was the pastor of the church
Hmm.
that we ended up going to be the youth pastor for. And we were so taken back and weren't prepared for the call. I walked out of the call with my wife, and she was like, "Who is that?" And I said, "It's a pastor of a church down in West Palm Beach, and they're looking for a youth pastor." We had some friends that worked at the church that had like given them our information,
Okay.
and she was like, "Well, your Redskins stuff is doing really, really, really well. Like the team was negotiating to hire me. They were wanting to buy my brand. They were going to give me like $150,000 to buy my brand from me, and then give me a staff position too. Like
Dang.
there was all this stuff that we were looking at." And my wife was like, "What are you going to what are you going to do?" And I said, "Kim, like our entire marriage, and since I've been 13, I knew that the call of God in my life was to be in full time ministry, and I've never understood until right now why this football stuff worked.
Hmm.
And I think that the football stuff worked because for the first time in my life, it would actually be a sacrifice for me to go into ministry because I've always just understood that it would be what it was. But this is the first time that I have to choose against something else that I really love. It's
Yeah.
an easy choice to go to full time ministry when you hate your corporate job,
Yeah.
when you hate selling transportation to people. It's easy to be like, well, yeah, for sure, I'll go to full time ministry. But when the opportunity is to either work with celebrities and football players and cover Super Bowls and cover, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff, or go down to, South Florida to a small church and be a youth pastor, it was the first time I ever had to make the decision. And I felt like the Holy Spirit really spoke to me and was like, you've, you've, you've said your whole life like this is what you want to do, and now I'm giving you the choice. You can do either of these things, but which one really is your heart? And it was a no-brainer for us. We didn't even think about it. We handed all the football stuff over to the team that I worked with, walked away from it, and 6 weeks later we're down in South Florida teaching teenagers about Jesus.
That's amazing, man. I mean, truly incredible. Again, I don't know many people that would do something like that, you know? Um, and I take it you're still there. You're still pastor, youth pastor for this church.
So we moved down there, and I was a youth pastor of that church, and ended up doing ministry. You wear lots of hats,
Yeah.
and I was doing students, and I was doing all of their creative, and I was doing all of their marketing, and I was doing all of their strategy, and I was building their websites, and I was doing their social media, and the senior pastor was like, "Hey man, you're doing a lot, and we feel like we're at the point where we need to split your job up into two. You can either be like the media director and production pastor, we'll call you the creative pastor, or you can do students." And they're like, "We feel like your skill set in production and media is really unique, and we feel like it will be easier for us to hire a young youth pastor." And I'll be honest with you, frankly, they're like, "And it will be cheaper for us to hire a young youth pastor." And so it would be our desire for you to take over media and production, um, and we'll hire a youth pastor. And we tried to do that, and I'll be honest with you, man, it just did not work.
Hmm.
It's not that I couldn't do the production, it's that the church really drug its feet in hiring a youth pastor and kind of kept me in a hybrid role. And then they
Yeah.
hired like a bivo part-time youth pastor. And the problem was, because I was still at the church and had such great relationships with the students, all the students still came to me like I was a youth pastor.
Yeah.
Like, so the guy that's trying to establish relationship and trying to be the youth pastor, the students are coming to me, and I'm trying, and it just got sloppy. And in the midst of that, the church that I'd gone to Bible college at, which is a huge mega TV broadcast ministry, their pastor had been dealing with some health issues, and I knew him from college, and I had toured with him in college. And they called, and they were like, "Hey, we'd like to have you come to Ohio." And we prayed about it, and ended up leaving South Florida and going to Ohio, and we were there for about 10 years. I left there to be the youth pastor, funny enough,
Hmm.
and was building an incredible youth ministry there. But the church had been, when I was in college, 12,000 strong on a Sunday morning. And
Oh,
because of
wow.
the health issues, um, because those health issues that had dwindled, it was probably like 2,500. But the television and the creative department when I was in college had over 250 staff people. When I came back, there was 5 people that worked in the department.
Wow.
And so I was like, "Hey, I know what you guys are expecting. I know what you want me to do. And in order to do those things, I'm trying to do my own production because the TV and the creative team can't help me." So I would go borrow a camera from the creative department and do stand-ups and do videos and do promotional stuff and produce summer camps. And I would be the lead creative force behind my youth ministry. And I got called to the pastor's office one day, um, and he said, "Son, can you explain to me why my youth ministry has better production than my television ministry that's been on the air for 40 years all around the world?" And I thought that he thought that I had made friends with the TV department and was making them do production for me. And like they weren't doing his work because they were doing my work. And I'm like, "Pastor, I'm so sorry. None of the TV department is doing anything. I'm doing all this myself." And he was like, "No, I know that. I realize I've
Hmm.
been told that you're the one doing this." And he's like, "So I'm telling you, we're promoting you. You're not the youth pastor anymore." They had already moved my office out of the local church wing. They're like, "You are going to oversee all of our production." And so for 8 years, almost 9 years, there wasn't a graphic, a photograph, a television program, a live 10,000 person attended live event that happened that I did not sign off on it or produce it or direct it or build it or make it. And so it was great. We loved it. But after those 8 or 9 years of 110-hour weeks of working until 3 in the morning every morning and trying to meet deadlines for 5 different television stations and doing live hits around the world, we were like, it's not healthy for our family. And so we came back down to South Florida,
Hmm.
and came back to the place where we knew that my family and my children have been the healthiest. And now I am the executive director of production arts for a network of churches in South Florida, who we just launched 5 campuses last month on October the 12th, and are up to 22 campuses across South Florida. And I oversee audio, video, lighting, production for all of them. So I'm
Wow.
I'm the main guy that oversees all that. So yeah, so I'm still doing all the production stuff. I'm doing his ministry. Um, but yeah, and we're just so super happy. We're absolutely in love with the church that we're at. We're absolutely in love. It's a super healthy place for my family, and um, it's been great. So that's like the story of from Bible college on. That's like my story in ministry, full time ministry. I'm 40 years old now. This is my 18th year in full time ministry.
That's
So,
incredible, man.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
an incredible story, bro. I mean, I'm still floored about the sports thing, man. I'd like to like think that I would have like, enough I guess ultimately resolve to resist the temptation if God, offered me or, gave me the option to choose, what I ultimately want versus, ministry, that I'd have enough temptation to resist. But I can't honestly answer that question, like I wish that I could. And to hear you be able to so confidently walk away from that two times is just an encouragement, man. It really is.
It's so funny. Like, to me, there never even was a choice.
Yeah.
Like when the opportunity came, it was like, here it is. This is what I've been waiting for. Let's go. Like, and the thing to me, like, because my family, questioned me on it, obviously with the best intentions, and my wife questioned me on it, and I just said, like, look, I've literally spent my entire life saying I know that I'm called to this,
Yeah.
and now that the opportunity is here, how could I not take it?
Yeah.
How could I not? And so, um, believe it or not, it was a lot easier. The only mistake I think I made, what I should have done is I should have sold my brand to the team and walked away with some money, but I didn't feel like cashing out was the right thing to do. So I handed it over to the team that I had built, and they destroyed it. Within 6 months, it was dead. Like when
Uh
it just, and so, that was kind of sad, but also I felt like it was a vehicle, because I learned a lot of invaluable things and made some great connections in the production industry, even outside of the church, that to this day I rely on. Very well connected nationally with a lot of really high level production arts people. And so that's been a great tool for us in all the ministries that I've been at, to have those relationships. And even a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now in Rumble are things that I've learned throughout the years that started with that silly little podcast that I started for fun that ended up being a pretty major player in that market.
yeah, so what ultimately made you, maybe we'll finish with this. What made you pivot over to Rumble? What ultimately got you kind of landed in this vein?
Yeah, I'm a nerd, for sure, and I'm a production nerd, and I'm a music nerd, and I'm a movie and video game nerd, and I do all the things. And it's hard to explain, to people who aren't creatives, but when you cross over into being a professional creative,
Yeah.
what once was a creative outlet that was an enjoyment for the love of the art quickly turns into work.
Yeah.
And so then your brain is looking for some sort of creative release. And so, as a video editor and as a producer and as a graphic designer, when that becomes what you do professionally, it's like, well, what do I do for my creative fun? What am I producing for myself? And
Yeah.
so, I got into photography, like really heavily into photography, and have had some great successes and traveled all around the world doing photography for ministry. And like just before the government shutdown happened to mess it up, I literally got a phone call from the White House that wanted to send me over to Uganda to do a White House sponsored mission trip to Uganda, where I was going to follow leaders of the White House's uh, like religious council and the president of Uganda for 7 days and do video and B-roll coverage and photography for that 7 days. And
Wow.
then the shutdown happened and kind of shut it down. And so like I've been able to do massive outreaches and mission trips and 50 and 60,000 people doing church services in fields in Pakistan that I've shot a couple times. I've been to Pakistan 2 or 3 times, and all around the world, boots on the ground, doing this kind of stuff. And so I say all that to say, but like then photography became work too, because
Yeah.
like it's again like it's all going and becoming work. And so I remember when the PlayStation 4 got announced, and it announced that you could stream and broadcast and record. I remember thinking that was such a game changing thing for gamers.
Yeah.
And I would broadcast every night to the people that I was playing game. Like the only people to watch were the people that were playing Call of Duty with me. Like we would just share the link out and we'd all laugh about it. And we would all record clips on our PlayStations, and we had this group text that turned into a Discord, and we would just share our funny clips, and it would be clips of us failing, and it would be clips of us getting a good sniper shot, whatever, But then COVID hit, and and when COVID hit, I mean, that was really when streaming became, like, Twitch became a thing.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube had always, like, there was people like Dr. Dis, but, like, he was not at that point even a household name. COVID changed everything. But for me in broadcast production, a lot of the technology that streamers were using, I had to learn, because now we were remote, and we had to use those same tools to, like, uplink and go live to networks when we had to go live to networks
Yeah.
and still be remote. And so I started streaming more seriously for no other purpose than to learn how to do it, because I needed to do it professionally also. And kind of fell in love with it. And then that became the thing that, like, I do social media for clients and my full-time job and people all day long, every day. And those people tell me, I'd like to color the pop more, and I'd like this to happen. And so, like, as a creative, you're constantly chasing your clients. This content, my live streaming, and what you see me editing, this is just the fun stuff that I do, that I create for me. It's that simple. It's a little bit twofold too, because, like, I want to be very clear. Like, I don't feel like I have at this point, and I'm not saying it'll always be this way, I don't necessarily do, like, content or I'm not like a gaming streamer evangelistically.
Yeah.
There are people that do that. I think it's great that they make these, like, gospel centered gaming groups and streaming groups. I think that's fantastic, and I love that. I do think at some point in time I'm going to do a ministry based podcast of some sort. It's a story for another day. There's just, I feel like my call in that content would be to help people that have gone through some of the hurt and the dark places of ministry that we've been to help people understand that there is hope on the other side of those moments that feel like it's completely hopeless.
Yeah.
But as I heal from a lot of the things that we've gone through, I just haven't got a release to do it without feeling like it would turn into a toxic tell-all, and I don't want it to be that. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I get that. I mean, I
yeah,
get that. There's
yeah,
definitely that, when obviously when you've been through ministry and you've been through hurt, usually by the church, man, there's that
yeah,
temptation to go there. And, I'm thankful when I was transitioning out of ministry, when I left New York, I was not streaming.
yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think that eventually there will be some ministry-based content that I do. I don't have a timeline on that. I do have an entire year's worth of content mapped out. I know what I will do. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. And so, on the one hand, I say that I'm not doing evangelistic gaming content, but on the other hand, I do believe that we are the only Jesus that people are going to encounter, and
Yeah.
they should encounter Jesus in normal life. And so, like, I believe that my testimony of just who I am when I'm online speaks for itself. And the thing that brought me to Rumble is, as I got involved in doing gaming content creation, I had small success. I'll be very clear. I've never been, today, I don't consider myself to be a successful content creator,
Hmm.
but this is the most influence I've ever had. And when it was smaller and it was growing, it's funny that you're sitting in a Respawn chair. I was in a Respawn Recruits content creation uh, competition to become a partner for Respawn,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I won that competition and became a partnered Respawn creator. That's what really gave me the push to get into it full time. But in that, I was streaming to Twitch and Kick and YouTube, and Rumble wasn't a thing really back then. I was on Facebook, I was everywhere, and I was just casting a wide net and trying to do all the things. And someone came into my stream, a new chatter, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, so and so, how are you? How's your, the streamer thing? Hey,
Yep.
what's up? Welcome to chat. Like, how's it going? And how's your day?" And they're like, "Oh, my day's terrible." And so, of course, I'm like, "Oh man, I hate to hear that. Like, why is your day terrible?" And they're like, "Oh, my mom's in the hospital, and it doesn't look very good, and we just really don't know what to do." This is all that I said. I promise you. All I said was, "Man, I really hate to hear that about your mom. I'll be praying for her." That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I said. And Kick and Twitch rained the fire of God down on me. and were like, don't you ever be like, I had moderators, not from my channels, representatives of staff for those platforms. That was like, that is not what we do. You may or may not realize this, but this person that you said this to is a trans individual. And because you've offered your faith to a trans person, this is the most offensive thing that you could have said. We should take your platform away from you. We should shut your accounts down. We should, I mean, it was a nightmare. A
What?
night. Brother,
Holy
this
crap,
is in
dude.
2023. And so I kind of stepped back and was like, I don't know how to do this, because again, like, I'm not doing Bible study on these platforms. And like, there are people that do that now for sure. I think that it just was ended up being like a weird blip, because I think the person threw a fit about it, that I had said that. And so I
Huh.
stopped streaming for about a year. And just recently, back in the summer, like May, was starting to get back into it, and I'm testing the waters back out on Twitch and Kick. Of course, my accounts only had a couple hundred followers on them, and to not go live for a year, now these accounts are completely dormant and dead,
Yeah.
and there's nobody watching. But that's fine, because I don't really care. I'm really just using it more than anything to like be a DVR and record what me and my buddies are doing, and download the VODs and cut them up, and we're sharing them in our private Discords again, like we've always done.
Yeah.
And I met Lumpy in a closed. Gray Zone Warfare did a closed test with content creators for a big patch that he did back in May. And I had helped I'd done some content for Gray Zone before I had shut my streaming stuff down. And so they invited me in. The first match that I get into, the first raid, I guess, I totally forgot that it was only creators, if I'm being honest with you. I just wasn't even thinking that it was only creators of the server.
Yeah.
And I literally met Lumpy at the helicopter, and we ran some missions together, and had a really funny moment where all of us were like sitting around a campfire, and I got sniped from like 200 meters away as Lumpy was talking to me, and then me and Lumpy connected, and I learned that Lumpy was on Rumble, and that's how I learned about Rumble. And I started to try to stream to Rumble also, but I was using Restream, and Rumble Studio and Restream don't really play together very
Yeah.
well. And then so I spent like an hour in a Discord chat with Tex, Vaping Gamers, man. The guy's a legend.
That guy is
And
amazing.
I jumped into the stream with my camera on, and Tex was like, "Brother, your quality is incredible. Like, who are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm nobody." And I went live that night for the first time the correct way, because Tex helped me understand that I had to go through studio and not go through the rest of it.
Yeah.
And on my first night, I got a front page feature. I had like 56,000 views on my first stream, and got like 60 or 70 followers on my first stream. And I met all of my metrics for the creator program in less than a week,
That's
and
incredible.
applied for creator program and got in the creator program. And since June, this is just what I've been doing. And so, like, for again, just like with the Redskins before, like I've been invited to tons of shows. Like, I've done yours and Grimm's. I've been on Side Scrollers a bunch of times, and those guys from Side Scrollers, great people, and I love them. But like, their content doesn't always, I wouldn't always say it matches up with religious content. But they
Yeah.
know who I am, and they know what I believe, and they know that I'm a pastorally minded person, and they love me being on there anyway. And I have an opportunity to be a light in the middle of all those things.
Yeah.
And again, I'll be very clear. Like, I'm not dogging on what Side Scrollers does. I'm just saying, like, there's a dichotomy there. And Rumble, because of its freedom of speech platform, has allowed those things to happen without me having to look over my shoulder. And so I believe that I'm sharing entertainment and hope and joy, and I'm in an indirect way pointing people to Jesus, until I feel like there's a call to directly point people to Jesus in this content. And if that happens, I'll do it. It's just not been, the thing yet.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that, man. You've proven, more than capable that you would, I mean, give up pretty much anything in your pursuit of Jesus. So I think that's awesome. And I do think like there is something to be said about just being somebody of character,
Yeah.
and being that light in dark places. And I'm saying that's where Rumble, people at Rumble are
No.
at, but just being that example, and that consistent person of faith where they just recognize like, oh yeah, like, like even though we don't necessarily believe the same thing, I can see that guy's, a good man. And I think that's
Yeah,
really important.
yeah. I think that's the goal. Like I said, I always take the thought process that the only Jesus that people are going to encounter is the one that I show them. If I'm
Yeah.
carrying His name, and if I'm, you know what I mean, and I will never shy away from my faith. Um, and I'll never not talk about my faith on stream. I'll never, water down or neuter any of those messages. And I feel like Rumble's a place that allows me to do that, and to do it in a way where I don't have to hide. And again, it's not that I feel like that I have this charge to like go on stream and start preaching to people. I mean, not today anyway,
Yeah.
but just to be a positive reinforcement of hope. And when people are like, "Man, what's different about you?" Well, let me tell you, here's what's different about me. The gospel's a real thing, man, and the love of Jesus is something that's life changing. And so I love the fact that here on Rumble, I don't have to hide from that, and I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about someone getting in my DMs and telling me not to say something as simple as "We'll be praying for you." That's the silliest thing I've ever encountered.
Yeah. No, I get that, man. I like being able to kind of freely speak on Rumble too, because I do have to kind of self-censor when I'm streaming to like places like TikTok, because I got banned. Bait. I was not as gracious as you were.
Yeah,
And I made a trans joke, uh basically called them demons.
yeah,
I got banned for a year. Probably deserved it a
yeah,
little bit, but um yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I think the thing too, like it's something I think that creators in Rumble got to learn too. I mean, just because Rumble has free speech and they're really loose with free speech right now, just because you can say stuff doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of truths in Scripture that I believe in firmly, but I also don't believe that aggressively communicating that to an unbelieving mind and an unbelieving heart is going to be the most successful way to do that.
Yeah.
And so, one of the, as a Great
Oh.
Commission minded, evangelically minded believer, um, I I believe that authentic representation again of Jesus and representation of our faith to people opens the door a lot more than browbeating people with a book is. And so I think we got a great opportunity to do that here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think there are some, like, I think I think you need both a little bit. You need some, you need those people that have like that offer, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? To be a little bit more graceful, but then you need people that are kind of like, John the Baptist or Paul, that are a little hard and rough around the edges with their speech. Um, because there are just some people that it doesn't matter how nice you are or how kind you are. They're going to, th- they just need a hard, plain truth sometimes. And
Yeah.
hey, Joe
And
Donuts, I
and
appreciate the follow, man.
Joe Donuts is the absolute homie. I love that dude. Love him. He's
Yeah.
an Eagles fan, and I can't forgive that, but I do love him.
So, I don't want to keep you too long, man. So, I guess, I any final thoughts you have as we start to wrap things up?
I would say this: we are at as believers and as content creators both, and I don't think that we can separate the two if we are believers.
No,
I
you
think that
can't.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like I remember growing up, there's this big controversy like is Creed a Christian band, right? And uh, Scott Stapp, who I would not say is like a shining example of evangelism either, but like Scott Stapp gets interviewed. I think it was actually on like Christian television, and people got upset because he said like, well, asking me if I'm a Christian musician, but like, do you ask your plumber if he's a Christian plumber? Do you ask your baker if he's a Christian baker?
Yeah.
Um, we just are who we are, and these are the things that we do. Um, so, as content creators who are in our personal lives and in all of our lives Christ focused, I think that there is some level of bleed over that happens there, whether it's your integrity, whether it's your mannerisms, whether it's your language, whether it's your message, whether it's your demeanor, whether, I mean, all these things that we do. But as Christians and as creators and as Christian creators, man, what a great opportunity we have and what great platforms that we have. And honestly, what a God thing it is to have a platform like Rumble,
Yeah.
who I go through my life feed and the same people that I see with 5,000 people watching them play Call of Duty during the day have 1,500 people watching them do Bible study and theological discussion at night. And I'm going to be honest with you, 3 years ago, I never thought I would see anything like that. And I think that Rumble is a really unique place for that. And it's a really great opportunity for us to positively impact the space that is traditionally very, 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 very negative.
Yeah.
The gaming space is as twisted and dark of an industry and as manipulated of an industry as I have ever been exposed to.
Hmm.
And it's a great mission field for us.
I witnessed that at DreamHack, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's gross. It can be gross. You know, but what a great opportunity for us to bring hope and healing and the hope of the love of Jesus into the people that we have an opportunity to influence, whether they know it or realize it or don't know it. And again, like I said, like you're never going to catch, or you're not going to catch me browbeating the Bible right now. But you're also not going to catch me shying away from the things that I believe. And so I think that I'm navigating how to use this space and how to use my faith to positively influence the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going a little bit okay. I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think so, man.
Yeah.
I think so.
Man, I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. This is a really good conversation, and I definitely would like to do it again. And
Anytime,
yeah, dude.
anytime. Let me know. And like, what we'll do is, I will try next time to schedule and remind my children to not make plans, so that we can actually be in the studio and not just have to be on a call. I do appreciate your time. Appreciate you having me, man. So stoked to see what you're doing and praying that God's blessing what you're doing and praying that you can go to the places that your heart desires, man.
Thank you, man. And likewise, sincerely, dude. And if you ever need anything, prayer or anything like that, you let me know. You know, anybody that I understand
Yeah,
ministry, man, I've been in it. So
yeah, for sure, for sure.
definitely somebody that you can count on for for definitely
Absolutely.
unpacking some of that stuff.
And also, let's run some games sometime. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah, you know
get
that this is something I do got to do a little bit more because it's like I'm you know, I've been doing just a show for so long like I just recently only started playing games, which is something that I've always done. I've always played, I just never
yeah,
streamed them, and now I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, obviously I should just add this in. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
am going to
yeah.
do it a little bit more. And actually, shout out to Midnight and uh the real Tomby, because they actually just got me arc raiders, so I'm going to be firing that
Oh,
up
did they
soon.
really?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
nice.
And the
Congratulations.
community, so the Rumble gaming community is awesome. They just totally blessed me with that, so that's freaking awesome. So yeah, I'll be firing that up soon. So maybe, I know you're playing, everyone's playing it right now, so maybe we can
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to make myself like it. I don't love it.
oh
There's lots of things about it I do love. I think it's beautiful. I think the audio in it is fantastic. I think the soundtrack is among the best soundtracks in any video game I've ever played. I am just a competitive gamer by nature.
hmm.
I do not care about going into a timed raid and leaving with rubber hoses. I'm going to go find the enemy. I'm going to fight them and I'm going to win. That's what I want to do. And you can do that sort of. I haven't found my niche in it, but honestly, I'm loving Battlefield's new BR. So Red Sec is so good. Like,
Yeah, I gotta pick that
oh,
up
I
too.
love it. Well, that's free.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh
you
wait,
don't even have to.
they have battle royale free.
Yes, they did just like Warzone. So
Oh,
it's
sick.
if you have Battlefield 6, Red Sec is a part of it. But if you go to Steam right now, you can just download Red Sec and just have the Battle Royale.
Sick, I'm gonna do that, dude.
Steam, PlayStation, wherever it is. Yeah. Hit me up, brother. We'll do it.
Yeah, sounds good, bro.
Thanks so much, man. Have a great show.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good night.
All right, later.
All right. That was a good conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a very blessed night. Deuces.